You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian. Welcome, everybody, back to the SDSU podcast. I'm your host, Andre Hagverdian. This is episode 148. We are back, as you know, our first episode back, episode 147, was an interview with Aztec for Life, Caden McDonald. Hope you guys watched or listened to that and enjoyed it. If not, please go back and check it out. Talking to Caden was a pleasure. Hearing about his Aztec glory days and also his post-Aztec future was cool, so go check that out. For this episode, we're going to talk general manager. If you're a sports fan, and obviously if you're listening to this podcast, you are, you know the term general manager pretty well. It's been a staple it's been a staple in professional sports for as long as probably people have been paying attention. But it's a new thing in college sports, and with the NIL world and revenue sharing, the house settlement, a lot of college football and basketball programs are now bringing in general managers to kind of oversee that process. And for San Diego State, they jumped on board that trend. Sean Lewis hired Caleb Davis back in March of this year as the first ever general manager for San Diego State football. Caleb joined us on this episode for an interview. I got to talk to him about where his background, where he's been at before, and how he ended up here at San Diego State, what his day-to-day job looks like moving forward, obviously helping San Diego State get back to winning conference championships and hopefully making a dent into the college football playoff as it's expanded and the team is moving into the new uh, Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever number you want to call it, conference. Let's get to the interview with Caleb, and I'll come back to close this out afterwards. We want to welcome to the SDSU podcast Caleb Davis, the first ever general manager for San Diego State football. How are you doing today?
I am great. Appreciate you for having me on, Andre. Appreciate you.
Yeah, general manager. I think a lot of sports fans will know what that means when it comes to the professional sports world, but the college sports world, it's new, right? Can you
Yes.
kind of tell us what a GM in college sports, specifically football, does?
Yeah. So every program and everyone handles this position differently because there are some where you go across and it's basically still director of recruiting that just has the title to kind of take a step up. But the biggest thing for me is, everyone always thinks NFL, you're making trades, you're making draft picks. The biggest thing in the college world is just managing all the different types of relationships you have to in this role. And it's not just, a lot of it is transfer portal related. So building relationships with kids on our roster, their
Right.
support system, whether it be an agent, family member, or different things. But at the same time, I think the things that people don't think about is all the different types of relationships across campus, whether it's academics, admissions, housing, and kind of make sure every single little thing within this department, even the ones that people don't even think of that goes on, is still performing at a super high level, and it's all in line with San Diego State's vision, but more importantly, Coach Lewis's vision and how he
Mhm.
wants this program run. So that's, I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent now, but that's
No, not at
everything
all.
from the players, the agents, but also the donor base, the alumni, and kind of just implementing the vision. And my goal with it is ensuring that our vision and our bar is set high enough. Because at the end of the day, I try to carve out an hour a day at least, just focused on the long-term vision, the 3-year plan, and
Mhm.
really not just what San Diego State football is going to be for this season, but what it's going to be, shoot, 2026, 27, and even the 28 teams,
Right.
and putting that plan into place every day.
How did the opportunity at San Diego State come about for you? Did you have any connections here on the staff that you knew of? Like, how did this
Yeah.
happen?
So it's actually one where um, was super, super blessed because this is the first job I've taken in my life where I didn't have any
Hmm.
connections, whether it be the school, the city, or people on
Yeah.
staff. So I kind of took a little bit of a leap of faith, but then as I went through the interview process, kind of aligned with everything I was looking for. I think I was obviously the good fit that Coach Lewis was looking for. But for me, I got connected. There's always little back channels that you first get connected, but really the relationship that I think took it from me just being a name and San Diego State just being an opportunity was our defensive backs coach at Notre Dame, Mike Mickens, is he
Hmm.
coached with Coach Lewis back at Bowling Green, and they were really, really close friends. So for me, Coach Lewis reached out and was like, "Hey, what can you tell me about this Caleb kid?" And me and Coach Mickens had been together for 7 years, so knew him really, really well, know his family. So I think he raved about me. And then on the flip side, I sat down with him. I was like, "Well, I've had a couple of GM opportunities potentially pop up, and no, I just left and came back, so I wasn't really looking to get out of Notre Dame. But then
Right.
as I sat down with Coach Mickens, and he kind of told me everything about who Coach Lewis is and who he is as a man and as a leader. Everything lined up with what I was looking for, lined up with what Coach Lewis was looking for. And then we just went through the interview process, and then a week later, I was getting hired on.
Yeah, I think you started in March, so you're about to hit your 6 month mark. How has it been so far?
Oh man, it's been absolute chaos in the best way. I
Hmm.
mean, I think my first day on the job was our first spring practice. So immediately, day one, I'm trying to get a grip on what the roster looks like, what all these kids are, what kind of drives them. And then a couple weeks later, I'm trying to manage those relationships. And then the spring portal opens. So I had to one, evaluate our roster, kind of see eye to eye with the coaching staff about where we were with everything, but then also build good enough relationships with some of these kids to be able to retain the talent. Because at the end of the day, the best kids on our team every year, there's going to be people trying to poach them, and if
Yeah.
that wasn't the case, then we're probably doing something wrong in the recruiting world. So it was a
Yeah.
lot of chaos. I say chaos. It wasn't really chaos, but just a lot of work right away, jumped right into the portal season, then OVs to wrap up the roster. And then from there, now it's just I get to really take a step back and just focus on the vision, focus on the 3 year plan and the outlook. So it's been a lot of fun though. A lot of fun
Yeah.
meeting the guys, meeting the coaching staff, and really just aligning myself with Coach Lewis, JD, and all of San Diego State's athletic department.
You mentioned Notre Dame earlier. You're the director of recruiting there last year. I think Notre Dame was went to the national championship game, right?
Yes, yes, we did.
How was that experience being at Notre Dame and seeing that happen throughout last year?
So last year it was really really cool just in a whole sense of the world because you get to see the highest level of everything going on, and you get to really surround yourself with a lot of great people, great mentors, and you get to learn how to win. I
Hmm.
kind of say because I got to really taking a step back, started at Cincinnati, and I'd been with Marcus Freeman for 8 years, so
Yeah.
think really really highly of him, really really highly of Chad Bowden, who was our general manager, who just left to go to USC after the season. So I got to surround myself with some great people, and then obviously the season was just it was really cool to experience, but it's almost like you forget about it as you go through
Hmm.
it because I mean, the national championship run is such a whirlwind where you're just focused on winning one game at a time that you don't even get a chance to step back and appreciate it as each win comes. So it was really, really special to surround myself with that, but really surround myself with the success and some great people that were able to teach me a lot of great things.
This isn't your first GM role, right? You're the GM at Troy before
Correct.
you went back to Notre Dame. So tell us about that role and how similar or different, I guess, that GM role was at Troy than here.
So it was really interesting because it was before the rev share era. So
Yeah.
it was trying to be creative and fundraising and doing different things to help ascend the program. But the best thing for me was it was the first time I'd ever gone through a head coach transition. So when we got there, Jared Parker, the head coach at Troy, was the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, and he is another great mentor, great friend. Like he is a phenomenal human being. So he brought me down from Notre Dame with them. And when we got there, there were 26 open scholarship spots, and we had to figure out real quick. We had 3 days to plan OVs, and it was a
Hmm.
basically a month and a half sprint to set the roster. And it was the first time I got to really take a step up in leadership where it's different when you're in a staff meeting and you hear your own voice, and you kind of sit there and you have to develop the entire plan. And at the end of the day, if a recruiting visit goes well or goes poorly, that's completely on my shoulders. So
Hmm.
it taught me a lot of leadership qualities that I had seen done in the past, but it was never fully on my shoulders. So it just taught me a lot of how to take that next step in leadership, how to develop a staff that I really enjoy, in a process that I think was going to lead to a lot of success, and still is. And really it taught me how to transition to a
Right.
completely new role, because you got to develop it. It's the same thing I talk about. Everything is about relationships. So, going from Notre Dame to Troy, how do you build relationships with high school coaches, but also in the same breath, coaches on the staff that I had never known before, and kind of
Hmm.
work with them about what do they value in recruiting, what's important to them at their position. So it was really, really cool to take a step up and really develop some of my leadership qualities.
Are you originally from the Midwest?
From Cincinnati, born and
Okay.
raised whole life.
And did you play football growing up?
I did in high school. Now I,
Yeah.
I was a defensive tackle, and
Nice.
not a lot of teams are recruiting 5'11", 5'10" and a half D tackles. So I was just your average high school football player, but just knew my entire life I wanted to work in football. And it's one thing I was always smart, always good at. And from day one at Cincinnati, I knew it was a path I wanted to go on.
So take us through a day of Caleb Davis's life right now as a GM at San Diego State.
So right now is a little bit different because it's fall camp. So
Right.
fall camp, for maybe those on the outside that don't know, is an absolute grind, but it's a
Hmm.
grind for staff members, players. It's a grind for everyone. Now it's one that I love. So I'm usually up and at them. I'm not too early of a riser, but get up by
Yeah.
6, get in the office around 6:30 or so, and then I kind of like to just prep my day, make sure all the emails, the process, everything's smooth early in the morning, and then we go through staff meeting earlier in the morning, practice, and then after practice, I like to sit down while the coaches go and break down offense and defense. I like to watch it from kind of a third perspective, so I can evaluate not just whether we trust the kids from the X's and O's perspective, but how can I evaluate them as athletes and just talent? Take away the coaching perspective and just
Hmm.
look at them athletically. And so I like to do that. That usually leads up till about, I don't know, 2 o'clock or so, and then from that point, um, I really start. Right now, it's kind of getting into advanced scouting work. So
Hmm.
I help out with our advanced scouting a little bit. So I've been breaking down some Stony Brook footage, and again, I think my role, it's important to kind of give that other lens of a look as we're evaluating opponents or evaluating our own roster, not just a pure X and O's, who are they, but who are they as athletes, who are the positions that we can maybe target because their middle linebacker isn't going to be able to cover our tight end as well.
Right.
Just little things like that, but look at it in a different lens than just an X and O's perspective. And then I'm usually rolling with that until we got our walkthrough later at night. We'll have team meetings, and then just be around till, I don't know, it's usually around 9 p.m. as we pack up and get out of here, and then do it all over again the next day.
That is a long, you said from 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's a long day.
Hey, it's all the perspective you look at it, because at the end of
Right.
the day, I'm sure there's a million people who would trade lives with me in a heartbeat.
Yeah, college fans are typically used to the director of recruiting or the director of player personnel. Obviously, Sean Dillon has that role here at San Diego State. So, what's your interaction and how does your role kind of interplay with what he does and what the recruiting staff do?
Man, having SD in the building already, like
Hmm.
that structure in place, everything within our high school recruiting, like, is the biggest blessing I could ever hope for. Because as much as, yeah, I can help out with high school recruiting here or there, and I can give my input, like, we've got what I believe is the best high school recruiting staff in the conference, in the new Pac-12, like pushing for some of the best in the country. So I don't have to micromanage anything in that realm. Now I'll put my input in high school recruiting and help out wherever I can, but a lot of my task and my job responsibility is transfer portal scouting, really leading the entire college scouting, whether that's our current roster, advanced scouting, or transfer portal scouting.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I said, I'll help out where I need to, but shoot, I can just let Sean Dillon, let Tanavea, let Kyle Spalding and Taylor Johnson just let them cook because they already do a tremendous job, and it's nice not to have to not to have to. I've got enough things on my plate. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll help out, but I don't need to micromanage and look over their shoulders and see because they already do a great job.
I think it was a couple weeks ago, Coach Lou's at a press conference was talking about how the impact of NIL, about how, last December he was having money conversations with recruits. And now he's not because he's got a GM, and which is you. So how how different is it to have conversations with recruits that are tied to potential money, NIL values and things like that?
It's the new age of college football. And
Mhm.
as much as people want to run away from it and people want to complain about what it's coming, what it's steering into, it's also the first time in Coach Lewis's life he hasn't had to talk about stipends with these kids and Pell
Mhm.
Grant because I mean we have a couple players on our team where they have children of their own. And I think everyone wants to paint NIL in such a negative light, but at the end of the day, we've got kids that, like I said, have to support their family. So these kids in the past would have had to work another job, but now they can focus more, yes, on the football field, but
Yeah.
and in the classroom as well, because they don't have to work another job to take care of their family and do different things. So I think a lot of NIL people go to the clickbaity headlight or headlines and different things, but like the number one thing I have conversations with kids is the number one ask is how can you help my family get to games? How can you do different
Yeah.
things? So I think NIL gets painted in a bad light, but it's the new age of college football. And are you going to adapt or are you going to push back? Because as much as sure, there's a lot of things that we wish college football would go back to the way it used to be. Like it's ever changing and it'll change another 20 times in the next 10
Yeah.
years. But how can you be ahead of the curve rather than lugging behind?
How do you think the house settlement and the revenue sharing has that made those conversations harder or easier from your perspective?
It really hasn't changed as much as people think.
Hmm?
So I think a lot of it is just informing and really, really doing a good job of one letting the public know, but also letting our team know what this really means because it's not it doesn't blow this whole thing up and make a bunch of changes because we already had plans for it. So
Mhm.
the house settlement is more about just informing kids and yes, having a really, really good structure and plan for it, which was pretty much already in place. And then there were just little tweaks we had to do along the way.
We've had Brendan Hill on the podcast a couple times, and then we've also had J.R. Tolver, and so like Aztec Link and this revenue sharing. How do you interact with Aztec Link, and is that part of the conversation that you're having with recruits still?
Absolutely. I wouldn't say Aztec Link maybe has as many conversation with the recruits as much, but yes, that's like when I talk about managing all these different types of relationships, that's Aztec Link has
Yeah.
been a unbelievable partner with us through this transition and through the ever-changing landscape. So yes, I've had tons of conversations with them, with the athletic department, and different people about just how can we continue to be creative and innovative in the new space. And again, with rev share and with the house settlement, yes, there's pieces of the collective that are going away, but you also never know what might change 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now, and what might change to where there is another need for them. So it's always about keeping relationships alive and having really, really good connection points with different people.
Yeah.
To where at the end of the day, we all want San Diego State football and San Diego State athletics to be extremely successful. So it's about getting people on the same page and continue to be innovative and push forward.
A couple years ago, before the Pac-12 kind of imploded, San Diego State was, looked to be on its way there. And that was a big thing with high school and recruits because they wanted to go play in a Power Five, and they used it. The Aztecs kind of used that as a recruiting chip. Now, obviously, it's a little different. Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever number you want to call it. But is that still a big selling point that you guys are using and can use to for recruits?
Oh man, it's unbelievable. Like I know we're selling the new Pac-12 and the different things, but to be in a power conference like that, especially again, like things are always changing in college football. So it's not even necessarily just about being in the conference, but it's about being one of the cutting edge teams. So I mean, recruits and it's really part of the reason why I took this job too. I mean, San Diego State isn't viewed as a group of five program and a group of five logo. Like this program is special. We've got, every single thing you could want. Now it's just about setting the bar high enough to continue to develop on the unlimited potential that San Diego State has. Because when you look at it and you look at every redeeming factor about what makes a program great, there's nothing that holds us back. We
Yeah,
got an elite location. And when I say that, I don't just mean, we're by the beach and we got great weather, but we got a great local recruiting base. I think
yeah,
24 of our or 18 of our 24 high school commits are from the state of California. And so that's a key piece. We've got one of the best stadiums in the entire college
yeah.
football. And it's also a development piece that's continuing to develop around over the years. But you combine that with an elite program and history and tradition of developing NFL talent around here, and combine that with an elite coaching staff, like there's nothing that holds this program back. And now the Pac-12 logo just enhances everything we already had.
The would you say most of your focus is on high school recruiting or more in the transfer portal, or is it split up evenly?
Are you asking like as a whole program principal or
More for your role as a
okay?
GM.
For me, again, that's where I trust Sean Dillon and his staff so much
Hmm.
to where again, I help out a bunch with high school recruiting, but I don't have to spend every single day, every single minute evaluating high school
Yeah.
kids. I kind of like to explain it where people say like as a head coach, when he gets his first head coaching job, him sitting down and watching ball is like his break time. Me
Hmm.
sitting down and watching high school recruits with the coaching staff, like that's my getaway time. So I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. I love being a part of the decision making process. But the majority of my time's more bigger picture things, and then Sean Dillon and his staff freaking kill it there.
What official visits, right? From an outsider perspective, the old school of Rocky Long, Brady Hoke, did it differently than Sean Lewis. You know, Sean Lewis, the official visits, they have these nice cars on the street on the stadium. It's doing being done a little bit differently, a little bit more public. Um, what's your perspective on that? How much role do you have in official visits and the factor of that of how that can kind of factor into someone's decision?
At the end of the day, as much as we can point and do different things, these are 17 and 8-year-old kids we're
Hmm.
recruiting. And whatever we can do to enhance their visit to make them feel the most special, we're going to do. And whether it's getting a motorcycle, a Harley on the stadium, or whether it's
Yeah.
making sure we have the best photo shoots in the country, we're going to work towards being elite in every single aspect. And I know that's part of the flashy stuff that maybe the fans see, but they also don't see the intimate conversations and the different things that really make San Diego State what we are and makes this program as special as it is. So I'm all for being as creative and as innovative and whatever it takes to get some of these high school kids to say, yes, we're going to find a way to do it.
Talking about the players that are here now, obviously the season's about 2 weeks away. How do you think the season and the team is shaping up? You know, today we saw Jaden Donegal was announced as a starting quarterback by Coach Lewis. You know, how do you think that season is shaping up? And are there a couple maybe under the radar guys that you're seeing in fall camp that could be a big factor in the season?
Absolutely. Man, first off, I am fired up for this year. I think I'm excited. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think what we've done to really, number one, shore up the offensive line room as well. I think last year we had battled some depth issues, got some injuries early, so got a couple of
Hmm.
those guys back, and and we're able to kind of push ahead there. But just the ability to retain all seven of our underclassmen all conference players is something that's rare in today's college football. And it's a testament to really who Coach Lewis is and the program he runs, because we had a lot of kids take a lot of hometown discounts because they love this culture, love this city, and
Hmm.
they take pride in restoring this program to what it was. So, I mean, all seven of those guys, I could go down the list, but to be able to retain a Trey White, a Chris Johnson, a Jordan Napier, a Ross Masauli, like you can go up and down the list, but even like Eric Butler is another kid that maybe doesn't get as much of the
Yeah,
limelight as some of the others, but it's a guy from the Inland Empire that's been here all 4 years, played special teams as a freshman, and is going into his senior year ready to just make an impact. So there's
yeah,
all these different types of kids that again take pride in this program, and that's a trait that it's really really hard to develop in today's college football, to have a team and a culture of kids that really really care. So to have all of those kids, even more, really turned down. Yeah, they didn't enter the transfer portal, but they were getting offers, they were getting different things.
yeah.
But to turn down, a lot of different great programs to stay here because of how much they love the culture, they love the coaching staff, and they love the fan base too. And they take pride in this program. And I think that's something that again is unheard of in today's college football. But we've got a really, really unique culture, and when I say that, we've got what I believe is the best culture in college football right now.
Yeah, I think it surprised a lot of people to see a lot of those offensive guys come back when, you have a 3-9 season, you end the season on a 6-game losing streak. But for sure, Aztec fans are thrilled to see some of those guys you mentioned back. Final football question.
Mhm.
We talked a lot about NIL, the house settlement. As you mentioned it, it could be different next year. If there's one thing you would like to see implemented in that avenue, in that realm, what would it be?
Really, I know I'm kind of steering it in a different direction, but just continue to pack the stadium. Like
Hmm.
that's where the more and more support we can get from this community, the more that stuff's going to take care of itself. Because what people don't realize is season ticket revenue and home game revenue. That stuff that makes a difference
Hmm.
in our rev share number. So as much as we can pack this stadium, because not only does it make a difference in the revenue and the different things that we can share with these student athletes, but it helps us win football games. If you think a hostile crowd and hostile environment doesn't help intimidate opponents and doesn't help really
Yeah.
drive our guys, you're out of your mind. So
Hmm.
the more we can pack this stadium and do a really really good job of having the best city in America support San Diego's football team, man, it's going to help elevate this program to new heights.
What it's separate, it's kind of a side question. What stadium that you've been to in any of your roles was like the best environment that you saw?
Oh man.
Does one stick out? I mean, I know you've been to Notre Dame, you played a lot of high-powered teams, I'm sure, and you saw that, but I'm curious if
You
one
know,
stands out.
this will be interesting. Now, I usually don't like giving other programs credit and different
Hmm.
people credit, so a little bit hesitant to answer this. But everyone always thinks, you were at Notre Dame, you were at all these great stadiums. What was the best environment you were ever at? And the best one I was ever at was when we were at Cincinnati and we played Central Florida on the road college game day.
Hmm.
UCF and the way they packed their stadium and the way they had the city of Orlando rally behind that team was something that I'd never seen before. Because been to a lot of different programs, a lot of historic programs with great fan bases, but to see that program where at the time they weren't in the Big 12, it was the American Conference, and to see that rally around, I look at it in tunnel vision like, man, we can make San Diego that too. There is no reason why we can't pack Snapdragon Stadium in
Okay.
in a manner that's never been done before. And when we do, watch out for everyone, because the moment and here's where my mind works every day and what drives me every day is the moment San Diego State makes a playoff, watch out, because who else would
Yeah.
want to play college football in any other place in San Diego? You can't tell me there's anywhere in the world someone would rather be than San Diego.
Yeah. To finish out the interview, we have a couple rapid fire questions, non-football related, just for our viewers to get to know you.
Absolutely.
You ready?
Absolutely. I'm ready.
What's your favorite food?
Give me a really good steak.
Okay,
Yeah.
two straight steak answers.
So
How do you get your steak prepared?
I'm a medium guy because you can't really mess it up. Like even if it's undercooked, I still like it. If it's a little bit overcooked, I'll be okay.
Have you been to Cowboy Star in downtown?
I have not. No,
Okay, that's probably my favorite steakhouse down
that's the
here.
one.
I'd
Say Cowboy
recommend that one,
Star.
yeah. Cowboy Star on 10th Avenue. Actually,
Oh,
11th Avenue.
gotcha. Got it written down.
No, it is 10th Avenue. Yeah, I'm just 10th and Market.
Honestly, you could give me all the road names you want. I'd have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm getting
yeah.
there.
Favorite musical artist?
This is funny because I actually this was one of the questions where my first team meeting, Coach Lewis brings everyone up. You got to introduce yourself, and I think I caught a couple of the guys off guard because you can't hide from that question. You got to be real. And my number one all time favorite. All my friends know this. I'm an Adele fan at heart.
Okay, nice. Have you ever seen her in concert?
So actually, funny enough, I last year during our bye week, I found out one of our last concerts ever was going to be in Las Vegas. And again, during our bye week. So it was Adele's, me and my grandma. We grew up, I grew up listening to Adele with my grandma. So me and my grandma went out to Vegas together, caught an Adele concert. We were
That's
there
awesome.
for just under 48 hours. And then I was back working at Notre Dame the next day.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've never seen her, but I mean she made great music for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Oh man. I it depends on the genre for me, but the one I've probably watched the most was Step Brothers. Will Ferrell,
Okay.
John C. Riley. That's the one where me and all my buddies growing up in high school and everything, it's you
Yeah.
always throw it on at the end of the night, just hang out and have some laughs.
That's definitely a good one. Favorite TV show?
I'd probably go with Breaking Bad. I'm a big I've I've only watched it twice, so I'm not one of those guys that'll rewatch a series 5 times, but
Mm.
that's my favorite of all time.
Did you ever watch Better Call Saul?
I didn't actually. I've seen a bunch of clips of it. I'm kind of
Yeah.
holding that one in the back pocket until I'm ready to binge watch a new show.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good too. It's up there. Not as
Mhm.
high as Breaking Bad, but it was pretty good. It was well done. Last one, favorite professional athlete.
Current or can it be?
It doesn't matter.
So again, being a D lineman, I was a huge Ndamukong Suh fan when
Oh
he was
yeah,
at Nebraska, and to see a defensive tackle be a Heisman Trophy finalist was my dream. So I was had probably three Ndamukong Suh jerseys hanging up in my closet back home. So
nice.
that was the one guy that I always looked up to.
Good one. I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, and yeah, he came over
Mhm.
here at the end of his career and won a Super Bowl. So,
I will say one of my first favorite players of all time used to have a fat head in my room that I think San Diego fans will love. LaDainian Tomlinson. That was one of
oh
my
yeah,
first all-time favorite players.
yeah. I don't think people realize how good LT was. I
He
mean,
is.
not just production, but like he did it with a flair too. Like he
Oh yeah,
was really good. I say he's probably one of the most complete running backs ever.
absolutely. There's no question.
Yeah, he was. I moved to San Diego for college in '99, so it was like right around. I think he got drafted in
Was
I don't
it
know 2002
80?
maybe
Yeah.
early 2000s, and so
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of saw his progression. It was
Oh yeah.
pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
All right, that's your rapid fire. Caleb, appreciate you taking the time. It was good to meet you. Look forward to seeing you on the sidelines and catching up with you as the season goes on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me
All
on.
right, thank you. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
go Aztecs.
There you have it, guys. That was Caleb Davis. Hopefully, you enjoyed my interview with him. Obviously, the season is upon us in about less than 2 weeks. We had Fan Fest scrimmage on Thursday night, August 14th. If you attended that, hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. or at least gave you somewhat of a glimpse of what the offense, defense, special teams might look like in 2025. Obviously, there was no tackling involved, and Coach Lewis explained afterwards why that was so, due to two big season-ending injuries that happened non-contact in practice that kind of led them to, kind of call off the horses per se. They already know that they're physical, they know they can tackle, and they decided to kind of ease off on the team, especially in light of those two big injuries to Dallas Fincher and Jelani Whitmore. The first game of the season is August 28th. It's a Thursday night, 7 p.m. against Stony Brook. We will obviously at East Village Times bring you some coverage of that, as long as also with fall camp ending or proceeding, about to end, obviously before the first game. So if you haven't, check out eastvillagetimes.com for any articles. I did post a recap of the FanFest scrimmage if you want to read that. We also posted a recap video on X and Instagram and a Facebook group page. That was done by one of our new videographers for East Village Times, Will Wilson, who joined our team this year. Put out a great video about 2 minutes long of some of the big plays of the scrimmage. If you were not there and want to see kind of the sights and sounds, I recommend you check it out. And yeah, we're off and rolling. Hope to have a few more interviews and some special guests coming on the podcast, especially as the season rolls on. Appreciate you guys as always for joining, and we will talk to you guys next time. You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian.